Or I used to say you didn't have enough to drink yet when you you had too much to drink when you try to I start all over. You had too much, you had too much to
Yes.
drink when you try to brush something off your shoulder and it's the floor.
Still a man, poor fat baby back blues.
Gdayall, and welcome to episode 60, Potables.
Woohoo!
I was very excited about this one. It has a nod to Jeopardy and SNL.
Mhm.
You want to talk about that? Sean Connery and the whole SNL skit.
And Barbara,
Yes.
would you want a Jeopardy question?
Why? Sure. Why not?
So, what potent potable,
Mm-hmm.
okay, was considered the cocaine of the 19th century?
Oh, no, it can't be. What is Coca-Cola?
No.
I know, you're wrong. So sad. And Alex Trebek is looking at me with like you idiot
Yeah.
look on his face. Yes.
Hemingway?
Gin.
No,
No, what was he drinking?
aspartame.
Aspartame.
Oh, yes.
Ah, yeah, that little drip of
Absinthe.
Absinthe.
The Green Fairy.
The green fairy. I said it wrong.
That's okay.
All right, I get
It's part of
500 points off.
it's part of our shtick.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absinthe used to be a hallucinogen.
Yeah, it was made out of ringworm or some sort of worm, bookworm or woodworm. Woodworm.
Did Guy Moulin Rouge have that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
woodworm. That's what it's from. I
Okay.
don't know if I get you like, oh yeah.
Well, that would be sort of the version of mushies back then.
Mhm.
And now it's funny. Speaking of sort of getting off your tree a bit with this, do you know now if you look in the Urban Dictionary, potent potables, instead of the alcoholic beverage definition of it, is if you put potent means strong, potable is to
Together.
take with you. Yep.
Uh-huh.
So together, so you get strong drinkable fluids. Well, some will interpret as stinky drinks or drinks that have strong smells.
Mm.
But in the Urban Dictionary, it's what the kids today say when they're going to get some weed, get some potent potables.
They're going to get potent potables. They took that from
the
Alex.
word,
Ah.
and they have now.
Is anything sacred anymore?
Well, it's nice.
Can we cancel them?
It's nice that they've made something their own.
Yeah.
So now, getting to the important things. Welcome, Phil.
Yep, Barbara, I'm here.
And I want to hear about your tiki bar experience.
Well, my tiki bar in Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Okay, well, I had two. So one was we did have, this was on like a buyer's mission, so it was being paid by the U.S. government.
Yes.
Well, we went across the street from our hotel to another hotel where Duke's is,
Right.
which is famous. And we spent one evening out there drinking. Of course, you have to have Mai Tais.
Yes, you do.
Out on the bay, on the ocean, or whatever it was there on
Nice.
Waikiki, drinking Mai Tais. How good was that?
That's lovely.
Yes. And of course, the weather's perfect, right?
Yeah, all the time.
And anyway, and we talked about it before. I went down to about 15 minutes down to the marina,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to the original tiki bar. And that was just fabulous. I mean, it's going into the past. It's going into the 70s.
Did you have like a pineapple cup?
I didn't have that. I think I just had beer, but others had the pineapple cup, and everybody wants to have the original tiki things and the big glasses like the pineapple things and the coconuts and But the food was subpar, but the entertainment,
You're not
the
there for the
atmosphere, it was all 100%. They had the fishes that were blown up, hanging from the ceiling.
Now, actually, we were having a quick conversation before we started recording this, and we were talking about how Phil had gone to this good drinking place in San Francisco.
Yes.
And then Brendan did ask me a good question. What is the difference between a good drinking place and a bad drinking place?
I think it's the atmosphere. I mean, you go into some places and you have a drink, and it's just there's nothing to drive you to stay there. This one here, the atmosphere was incredible. It was a typical old bar, dark inside, but the waiters and the barmen were dressed to the nines. They were really dressed properly, like the old school.
Yeah.
And the service and the type of alcohol that you got was top notch. And you paid, I don't remember even what we paid for it, but I had a Manhattan, and it was just.
It's like an art form.
It was.
when it's
I mean,
like
the
that.
guy puts ice in the glass, and then goes to the shaker, and he pours everything in there, by eye, and he shakes it up, throws the ice out, pours it into glass, perfect.
That sounds lovely. Not like, the dive bar, the brass apple that we all used to go to after work years ago, where, people did shriek when the light came in during the day. It's like, ah!
Yeah.
And you had to wake up the bartender because he was.
Yeah, and then they, you can't go beyond in some bars, if you don't order things that are just standard, you're in trouble.
I went somewhere and they had to get a book out for something that was really simple. And
Well,
I was just like, geez.
Yeah, I was there, and it was what they had to get the book out. They didn't know how to make.
Yeah.
A Bloody Mary.
Oh my God.
Isn't that bartender 1, 2, 3?
That's exactly right.
But they had the book behind the thing, Bartenders for Dummies or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now
it's annoying.
It is annoying. So bartending is an art form, as I said, and finding a good place.
Psychologist.
Well, it's true. We've kind of lost that. We were here. We kind of have the pubs where it's more pulling beers, a little bit different, a little bit more cheersy.
Yeah. Where in America, they like the old gin mills. They're sitting there listening to you.
Yeah.
They get the story. They got stories. Blah blah blah, and they get to know you on a personal basis. They know exactly what you want.
It's waiting for you. It's like the cop bars and Fiery's bars and all those sort of things. Now today we're going to discuss these things, but before that we need to do a bit of housekeeping. Your favorite job.
Yep, got the vacuum out.
That's right.
Okay, so we go with the listener discount, and this is good for online or click and collect.
That's correct.
And this month, for the month of November, is stuffing.
That's right. Stuffing with the G on the end of it, as I'm saying.
I know. I'm pronouncing it correctly.
That's right. So that will finish at the end of the month. So every month we will change the secret code. You can look for the listener discount next to the items. It's a little purple logo like us, or you can actually search listener discount and the items will come up.
There you go.
And
how easy could we make it?
We're trying.
Yeah.
We are trying. And, if all else fails, you can get us on the chat bubble and we'll help you out. Finally, if you are enjoying this, which we hope you are, if you're back, please share the podcast. We love it if you leave us a review. And you can get a hold of us at podcast@usafoods.com.au with any of your requests, comments, feedback, anything like that. We'd love to hear from you.
And just remember, at the end of this show,
yes,
or towards the end, I should say, we're going to have the Ripper Recipe Roundup and our personal best product selection.
That's right.
So don't go away.
You can't.
Okay, so today's show, we're going to cover original American cocktails centuries ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 100 years, right?
Yeah, a couple of those would be a couple of
10
iconic.
I got to learn.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for that lawsuit with the Department of Education for the city of New York coming in. So Prohibition era cocktails, drink like it's 1920.
Yes. 50s cocktails, 70s cocktails, and cocktails from the 1980s.
For the throwback party.
The throwback party. Those are my golden days.
I'll probably have the 70s cocktails. And then finishing up with cocktails for your barbecue.
That's right, because it is the season now.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, so get those shrimp on the barbie and get them drunk.
Oh my God. All right, fun fact number 1.
Yeah.
It wasn't illegal to drink alcohol during Prohibition.
Tell that to any priest.
Yes, that's exactly right. The 18th Amendment only forbade the manufacture, sale, and transportation of intoxicating liquors, not the consumption.
Mm-hmm.
We love a loophole.
Right, we just don't know how it got here.
That's right. I don't know. It was just here. So I didn't
It's
move
left
it
over.
anywhere. That's it. So by law, any wine, beer, or spirits that Americans had stashed away in January 1920 were theirs to keep and to enjoy in the privacy of their homes.
Yeah. Or somebody else's.
Or sell it off down the road.
So, and then fact number 2, in 1932,
Yes.
Otto C. Picard, MD,
Yes.
certified that post accident convalescence of the Honorable Winston Churchill necessitates the use of alcoholic spirits, especially at mealtimes.
Well,
So that means that he was sick, and they still have to give him some booze when he's eating his dinner.
to help him digest, I'm sure.
Yes, yes. The quantity is naturally indefinite. So in other words, he can drink all that he wants, but the minimum requirements, so, has to be 250 centimeters. Well, isn't that millimeters?
It would be cubic centimeters, so I'm wondering if that's 250. Yeah, it would be mils. But being Winston Churchill.
Who's measuring? 3 fingers, that's all. Like that was the old thing. Like you want another drink. You put okay, up to there. You put 2 fingers, 3 fingers. Half a glass. Yeah.
That I remember explaining that to Mackenzie, and she was like, "That's weird.
Yeah,
that's very odd." And I was like, "Oh well," and I just eyeballed it. Now this is fun. This is a fun bit of American history. The connection between illegal hooch and the sport of driving incredibly fast is a pretty obvious one. Moonshiners transported their illicit wares into the fastest cars they could build to evade police. Since driving fast is fun, people kept doing it even without cops on their tail. And by 1947, NASCAR was founded. We can take a crime and make it a sport. God bless us.
Okay, and then the last fun fact. Hotel restaurants used to keep children out.
Yeah, seen, not heard, go away. Or not even seen.
Yeah. Oh, it's the same thing on the voyage over here when I came first time with my mother.
Yeah.
We went on the Sober or the Orchids, one of the two. I forget which one was sober and which one was back.
Yeah.
But children's had a separate, they couldn't eat with the adults.
Oh, really?
And since I was only me and my mom, so the steward took care of me.
Oh.
We used to do things like throw the garbage overboard and drink all the evaporated milk. I remember this.
They picked the perfect person for you.
Yes. You can't do that anymore, throw the garbage overboard.
No.
But he just said officiated.
It's nice that we've moved on in the environmental area here.
So, but with the threat of losing money during the Prohibition, the famous Waldorf Astoria in New York City turned to the youth market with a special menu featuring Little Jack Horner and boiled lamb chops. I don't know any kids that would eat a boiled lamb.
Broiled. So grilled.
Even grilled, fried, or any other. Americans don't eat lamb.
I used to eat lamb. Maybe it's you guys.
No, I ate lamb because my mother.
Yeah, I ate
But
lamb
all
chops.
my cousins, my nieces, my nephews.
Oh, you know what? Because
especially in the Midwest.
See,
they wouldn't even eat fish.
Mom used to get spring lamb, so I would get that. She made a good leg of lamb too. So maybe we're just weirdos. But I remember holding on to it.
Well, because of maybe the areas you grew up in.
Yeah,
because the Italians and the Philippines probably always had lamb for Easter.
Yeah.
Spring lamb.
Yeah.
I remember going up to the butcher by the train station, and it looked like some type of massacre up there. And the whole freaking lambs in the window on the hooks.
Ugh. Yes. Well, in that time,
they're fresh.
It's fresh. I can see it. I want that bit there. But now you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that is the beginning of Kids
Beginning of the
Menu,
end.
and we'll be back for more after the break.
Okay, we're back from our break.
Yes, Foster.
And we'll talk about original American cocktails.
That's right. So this is, it goes way back. So we're just going to go through a few quickly. We're not going to be giving recipes because we can all look it up. But there's a few lines like a Sazerac is it's from the mid 1800s, a stiff mix of rye whiskey as it was originally made with cognac, bitters, sugar, absinthe. There's your absinthe.
Yeah.
And it's the official cocktail of New Orleans.
Oh. Now I have to go back now.
You have to go back and have one. So that's from the mid 1800s.
Now another one from the South, the mint julep.
Kentucky
Derby?
Yeah, well, I think that's in here.
Yeah, that's in there. Okay, so mint julep is it's murky. I don't know. It's because you got to pound the mint down. You got to muddle the milk.
Well, yes, it is murky, and it's murky in its history, Phil, too. Because we don't know exactly when it originated, but it seems around the 1700s. And it gained massive popularity in 1938 when it became the signature drink of the Kentucky Derby. Now, how do they say Derby here, Phil?
Derby?
I'm sorry, everyone. And it used to be drunk as a breakfast beverage. It has mint in it. That works. Because they were believed to protect farmers against malaria.
Well, that's a good idea.
My grandpa used to say, "You have a gin and tonic?" He goes, "Come here, Silk. This is what got the English through India."
Yeah. So now we got the is that a Pisco punch?
Yes.
So Pisco originates in Peru.
Yes.
Pisco punch was first made at a bar of the Bank Exchange in San Francisco near the end of the 19th century. So among the punch's fans were Mark Twain. He was a big drinker.
Well, and he was just, like Hemingway, brilliance in booze.
Mm-hmm. And then
Rudyard Kipling.
Yeah, and the New York founder Harold Ross, who described it as like lemonade, but with a kick like vodka or worse. That sounds like a winner.
And here's my favorite. I love an old-fashioned.
Oh, you're an old-fashioned guy.
I am. Actually, I think I've got Brendan onto them because years ago we went out to dinner with friends, and I sat down and ordered an old-fashioned, and he's like, "You drink what?" And it came to us, and he's like, "That's like, fuel." And that's so good.
Yeah.
So it came from the 1800s. So it was, it's known as the first true cocktail. So it started out as extra fruity, and then it was kicked up with liqueurs. But the basic mix is of whiskey, bitters, sugar, and a few dashes of water that has outlasted the trends. And you need a little bit of orange peel in there as well.
And the next one is one of my favorites. We just talked about the Manhattan.
I love Manhattan.
It's like it's basically the opposite of a martini. Martini is dry. Manhattan is a bit sweeter.
That's right.
So if you're using sweet vermouth, not dry vermouth.
That's right.
You're in good rye whiskey like Bullet.
Right.
That's what they served at that bar in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
And so that maraschino cherry and Bob's your uncle and Mary and maybe your aunt too. After that, a few of those.
And that started in 1874. And legend has it the drink was designed for a party thrown there by Jenny Jerome, Winston Churchill's mother.
But it also took the place as in the original steakhouses in New York.
Right.
You drank martinis and Manhattans, but primarily Manhattans. That was the drink that you would eat with your meal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We have a local place that serves Manhattans, so we should get down there. My friend and I.
I'll take Manhattan. And then there's also one called the Bronx, too.
Is there? What's in that?
I have no idea.
I'm going to look that up later. I'm writing it down right now.
Next one don't sound too appetizing.
Well, it's from 1744, maybe why.
It's a fish house punch. It's vodka and anchovies.
Oh, no. Let's see. It comes from the first record of this comes from the Secretary of the Embassy of Virginia's Commissioners in reference to his visit to a Philadelphia fishing club known as the Fish House. So it should have fish in it. It is a bowl of fine lemon punch big enough to have swimed a half a dozen young geese. That's like, did you see the thing when people go, why do Americans always measure things by, there's a sinkhole, it's 3 washing machines, as big as 7 washing machines. Or,
like we had potholes in Brooklyn, bigger than Buicks. Yeah.
That's right. So maybe that's it. So half of a dozen geese could have swum in this bowl.
Yeah. And the next one is a Gin Rickey.
Gin Rickey?
Named after Joe Rickey.
Right.
Sounds like a baseball player. So It was made primarily, so it came out of D.C. in 1883.
Yep.
And made with whiskey, lime juice, and seltzer.
Oh, that sounds
But
refreshing.
since then, gin version has eclipsed the original. So that's why it's a Gin Rickey now, not a Whiskey Rickey.
And
then his brother made the lime Rickey.
That's right.
Yeah. So they all got around, those Rickey guys.
Oh, God bless
And
him.
they had Branch Rickey, who was the other brother. He was the baseball player.
Okay, and then maybe Ricky Ricardo?
And Ricky Ricardo.
So you can have a Cuban drink with that.
Yes.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Now
I had one guy that
Yes.
worked for New York Tel, and we were working on a Saturday or something, doing something for him, and we went out to call the local gym mill, where he was there, and we had a lime Rickey. And this was using that lime cordial line
Yeah.
and gin. And that was it. And then, it's just shaking up to make it cold. Yeah.
Nice.
Really tart.
Yeah,
That's
that
what I
would be.
remember about it. Well,
You're
after the
just-
first, second, third one.
yeah, who cares after that? And I'm just thinking in the
That's
year,
why it's good to have Irish friends.
and I'm thinking in 1883, with the way people had to dress back then, DC would be particularly hot and sticky in the middle of summer with
Oh.
layers of clothes. Now, centuries ago,
Mm.
this is our sort of our history of Americans and booze. So often we're seen as a puritanic people. Sort of, the Puritans came over, no fun.
Yeah.
We had prohibition. But hey, Europeans who traveled to North America in the 1600s were already heavy drinkers. Because imported beer was expensive, colonists fermented peach juice and apple cider and imported rum from the West Indies. Sort of like prison wine.
Or Boone's Farm. Remember those? Before
Yeah.
your time.
Oh gosh, yes, it is before my time, but we had the equivalent. The average colonial American consumed about 3.5 gallons of alcohol per year in 1770, about double the modern rate.
Who took records in those days? What they? I don't know if that's census or anything.
These are people doing their PhDs that are going through records. That's
Mm-hmm.
what's happening. Now,
So they started the day off right,
Yeah,
because back then they started the day consuming rum or hard cider with every meal. So for breakfast,
and the problem
they
with that is,
yeah, they only had oatmeal to eat. So
you got to have something to look forward to.
so people drank. Everybody, even the toddlers. Hey, shut the baby. Yeah, give it. He's teething. Yeah, put some rum on his gums.
Oh, my mother nearly killed my dad because my grandma, his mother, my grandma, told Dad to put whiskey in my bottle, and she busted it.
Well, that's how the toddies came around.
Oh, hot toddies are fantastic.
Yeah,
in
but
Illinois.
they did it for the kids.
Yes.
Okay, after the Revolution,
Yep.
okay, the British refused to supply the former colonies with rum. Those bastards.
They can't, try to take everything away from us.
Yeah.
Fine.
So, fortunately, Kentucky and Ohio. Remember that thing about what is high and has two O's on the end? Ohio. A glut of corn that they transferred into whiskey.
Well, see, they've done us. They've given us a whole industry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Britain.
Yep. And we got to thank the Native Americans for the corn.
That's exactly
That's
right.
why we have Thanksgiving. Farmers produce such large volumes of whiskey, ending up being cheaper than beer, coffee, or milk, until they started figuring out what's taxes.
Yes, that's right. Everything good thing comes to an end.
Yeah.
And it was also safer than the water.
Yeah, because the water would have not been. Yeah, they didn't have chlorine back those days.
No. So, well, that's okay. I'm going to use that as an excuse from now on as well.
Well, that's how Listerine came about.
That's right. When they're taking a bullet out and you're biting on a
Oh, yeah.
knife, and you just pour some whiskey over it, and you have a shot afterwards.
Kills all the germs. I have a story about that. I'm not going in there.
I'm not
But a
doing
guy I
that.
used to work with, this guy Jody. Anyway, but
Right, you're going to have to tell me in the break, and
Yeah,
then we'll
never.
see how we can tell the story.
yeah. Okay.
I'm worried.
So now we're going to Massachusetts.
Yes, in 1838.
Okay. It's always a song. So they banned the sale of hard liquor except in bulk. So it's like going to Costco.
Yeah, that's right. You can only get a gallon at a time.
Yeah.
Though, we, as a people, we love a loophole.
Mhm.
One enterprising seller sold the right to see his blind pig for 6 cents.
Yeah.
But the purchaser also got a free drink.
Oh, there you
So
go. Until they both went blind.
That's right. So they weren't purchasing a drink; they were purchasing a ticket to see the blind pig. And consequently, during Prohibition in the 20s and 30s, that was a nickname for a speakeasy. I'm
What?
going to go to the blind pig. Go see a blind pig.
Well, my father used to say, "You got to see a man about a dog."
That's it.
Never thought about what that meant, But now, the hair of the dog.
Yes, so the dog.
Yes.
Yes, I never put those two together, but
It took me all these years to
very.
put them together.
Thank God for this podcast.
Yeah.
Now, after the end of Prohibition in 1933, many states kept alcohol illegal. But the prosperous post-World War II years, drinking rose again, despite serious concerns about teen drinking, fetal alcohol syndrome, and drunk driving in the decades that followed, alcohol once again took its place as an important part of American culture.
Hallelujah. Now, speaking of American culture,
Yes?
okay. Do you know who Hal Smith was? Name ring a bell?
It rings a bell, but I don't know why.
Andy Mayberry.
Yes?
Hal Smith was Otis.
Oh, Otis.
Otis.
And his little weekly sleep in the
Yeah.
lockup.
He was a local drunk.
Oh, God bless him.
So he played the Otis the drunk.
I love a bit of Andy Griffith. Which one bullet Barney.
And Opie.
Oh, yes, Ron Howard.
Yeah.
Cute little Opie and Aunt Bee. Now, you would think during Prohibition, actually, if you know us as a group, you would get this, but they're actually iconic Prohibition era cocktails. So this is where you could drink things in the speakeasies.
Well, you know probably why it came about. First of all, the liquor probably wasn't all that good all the time.
Yeah, especially if you get some bathtub gin.
Yeah, especially if they didn't rinse the ring around the bathtub.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
And they had to stretch it.
Mm-hmm.
So what better way to stretch it is to put other stuff they could get into it.
That's exactly right. So now a few things here are going to repeat, like a gin wiki.
Yeah, we gone through that. So.
But that's a highball drink. So I think that's sort of where that all started.
But it isn't like a highball to me. It's ginger ale and whiskey, and American whiskey.
Well,
not,
sort of
not
like
Scotch.
anything in a tall glass.
Yeah.
So I've told the story of Uncle Jimmy before, but he used to like to make a cocktail depending on your religion. So if you walked in, he'd make you a Catholic. That was a Christian Brothers brandy with ginger ale or 7-Up.
Okay.
He also had I forgot what it was for the Presbyterians. It probably would be a whiskey of some sort. And the Protestants, and he would go through his alcohol.
Oh.
And that would be a highball glass.
Yeah, I need Morgan David? No. MD-80? No? Okay.
No, I don't know about that. So also we have things like old fashions, but the sidecar. Few cocktails can rival the iconic sidecar as one of the great sour drinks found in every bartending guide, which our guys are looking up because they can't figure out a Bloody Mary.
Well, you had a whiskey sour and all that.
Oh,
yeah.
My friend Shelley and I do enjoy a whiskey sour. A French 75, which is a drink with champagne. Mary Pickford, so she was America's sweetheart.
Now, for whatever reason, when I was younger,
Yes.
early teen, I was the mixologist for the family. So when we had any time over my aunts or a holiday, it was me that had to make the drinks.
That is a fine family tradition.
Yes. So I learned how to make margarita cocktails, not the margarita frozen one, so the true cocktail one. And the other one, just looking at this French 75. So it was a cube, a sugar cube. I had to go out and buy sugar cubes.
Right.
Hit it with some bitters.
Yes.
Okay. Pour in some brandy, and then finish it off with champagne.
Oh, you're very good.
Oh, I tell you, if you want people to hit the wall, because the scary, what's good about it, you start drinking it, and of course, champagne is dry. And then as you drink it, it's getting sweet. Okay, and then, that's pretty nice. It's sweet. I'll have another. Okay. So basically, this is just the same basic principle as a martini.
Right.
Only thing with bubbles. And bubbles
get you drunk faster.
Yeah.
Yes.
I gave one time to my two aunts, Aunt Connie and Frances. I made them one or two of those, and next thing you know, where are they? They're over on the couch and snoring away.
Well, with all this not being able to go out and things, I haven't trained up recently, and we went out the other week, during the week, and I ended up having, I think I had 3 champagnes, and I was like, I'm not up for this anymore. I was like, I have to have a sleep. I'm tired. I was just like,
it's called age, Robert.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'll get myself ready again. Yeah. So back to this, there was a thing called a bee's knees as well. Yeah. So that had...
You made that famous here in Australia.
My bee's knees brandy. So they had an odd addition, which was honey. So this was the start of people using some different ingredients in making cocktails.
But there was also a cordial out of Germany with honey. It had a bee comb around it.
There is too. Yeah. I have not had that, but I do remember seeing the bottle. I used to love looking at the different liqueur bottles.
And that one had actually like a weave bottom to it. Looked like, like a bee's hive. I remember that. And then Mary Pickford. Did she go into furniture or something?
no, she was a beaut. She used to act across from with Charlie Chaplin.
Mhm.
But I always think of the silent stars. What do their voices really sound like? Because you have it would not be right. And we've got things like the South Side down here, which is preferred beverage of Al Capone and his crew.
So that came out of Chicago.
Would have to be.
And Ward 8.
Yes.
That reminds me of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. What ward were they in?
I can't remember who Nurse Ratched was in charge of there. I just remember Chief.
So that came out of 1898 out of Boston.
Yep.
Where the politician Mon Lonsary, it looks like, celebrated his win in the seat of the General Court of Massachusetts with, of course, with some potent potables.
I was going to say, how very Boston to have a celebratory drink name for you.
And here's a great one, the Corpse Reviver.
I think that's what I needed last night.
We need that for Halloween.
Yes, and the cocktail's family's motto is "Cheers to the hair of the dog that bit you."
Ooh, yeah.
So they're hangover cures, things like rides and things.
Mm-hmm.
My brother taught me a hangover cure.
Yeah.
Have a little tiny beer the next day.
Yeah, you got to keep it going.
That's right.
Gotta keep that. I remember guys telling me that. Yeah, well, you don't get a hangover; you just keep on drinking.
That's exactly right.
So as soon as you get up in the morning, have another drink. Okay.
Now, this is, we were talking about MadMen earlier. This is the 50s cocktails. Now, I find this, to me, is like the iconic people dressed up. You know, I can imagine Elizabeth Taylor with a martini glass. I find it very fancy. So, again, we have drinks like whiskey sours, sidecars, Tom Collins.
I knew Tom Collins. He lived at the top of the Bagel Bakery.
Well, there you go. And
he was the only non-Jew or Italian in the whole neighborhood.
And they let him in.
I don't know how.
Oh, you know, it'd be like Goodfellas. Yeah. Now, this makes me think, I had a little email correspondence with Jeanette the other week.
Yeah.
And I said, way back in the day, what is your drink? Because Jeanette doesn't drink, now. And she said, I love Southern Comfort, Singapore Slim, and, the usual rum and cokes. So I said this to Phil, because she's never had one. I said, Phil, she had a life before you.
Oh.
She didn't say with all those. That was before Phil.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so like rum and coke, my friend Tony Cruz, Tony from the famous line of "When things are bad, you eat good."
I like him.
So he had his favorite drink is rum and coke, but he dissects it.
What does he do?
So he has a glass of coke,
yes,
and a shot of rum on the side. So he what's that word when you
deconstruct it?
Deconstruct it. So he deconstructs his cocktails.
Oh, I get that. As long as you have a glass of ice as well, or just that one into the cup.
I don't remember. I'll have to find out. But I know the next time I go down to see him, he lives in Melbourne.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, Florida.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I've fallen for that before. I think, you know what? I think we should get some merchandise, and I think we should have, when things are bad, you eat good. I think that should be
I'll
our
have to send it to her, because one of the things, when I go back down to America whenever we can again, soon, and get down to that part of the world, and where I'm going to go meet up with him, I'm going to bring him a bottle of Cuban rum, because you can't buy Cuban rum in
oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's
it's like having Cuban cigars.
I feel like I know him, so you'll have to tell him. Know it for me.
Okay.
Okay, Phil, I'm going to let you cover the next one.
Oh, 70s cocktails. So this we got in more of the disco age.
That's right.
Where they're all like day glow colors and stuff when you put black lights on them. Which they would have been before, but we got a double one here. Tom Collins is back in there. Rusty Nail. That was Johnny's favorite drink.
Right.
Which is Drambuie and Scotch.
Well, we have discovered it when we went to Tassie a few years ago, and we just started drinking those like nobody's business.
Yeah. It's another way to kick you right on your ass.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Then you got the grasshopper, which would have been green.
Yes.
With cream of mint.
That's right.
Old fashioned. The Harvey Warbanger. Remember that? That was like huge.
That was very huge. And what is it? Or we talked about the recipe is orange juice. I'm trying to think. I can't remember now. We'll have to cut that out and go back to it.
But then we had, the screwdriver.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you think.
And the salty dog which was great
And
for
tequila sunrise.
Yeah, tequila sunrises. So we do that. So just float a little bit of drink in.
Yeah.
Ainsley wanted
That was
to.
his big 70s. How come that didn't hit the top 10?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's in the 80s.
That was huge. Oh, that's in the 80s.
Mm.
I used to drink. I remember Teresa and George.
Must have been on the cusp.
I remember drinking.
You know, we should be drinking now.
We should
Just
be.
make
I
it
said
so
that
much
to you.
interesting, this show.
You know what?
Take an Uber home.
We have done a night show before, so we should do that.
Yeah.
A few cocktails. But I remember Teresa and George, I used to babysit for them. And so they used to make White Russians.
Oh, yeah. I remember that was also very popular.
Yes. Right.
And a Black Russian.
Yes. And George used to make a traditional White Russian and then he'd float Coke over the top of it.
Oh.
It's like Laverne and Shirley Pepsi.
Yeah.
But it was good. And I remember going, oh, should I stay or should I drive? You know, because it was the 80s.
Yeah, you drove.
Yeah. Well, and Teresa goes, George, we'll bail Barbara out if she got busted, wouldn't we?
So before we move on, you know, we're in the 70s. There were a lot of famous drunks in the 70s, or
Yes.
imitation famous drunks, and which we bring up all the time.
We do.
Foster Brooks, probably
Foster Brooks.
most famous one. And who made him famous? Dean Martin. Oh, Dino. But then you had the whole Rat Pack, and you know they got on stage drinking.
That's right. They had scotch in their hand. They had a cigarette in the other hand.
But then there's others from other eras too. Well, also from probably that era there. I'm looking at my little list here that I made up. Jackie Gleason.
Oh, yeah.
And away we go. Yeah, he was gone already. Let's see. Also in that era, Orson Welles.
Oh, yeah. And we talked about his, he will sell no wine.
Before it's time.
Before it's time.
Yeah, because I drank it all.
That's exactly. He would drink the set out of Parmesan wine.
Yeah. Boris Yeltsin. He was a big, was Russian.
I think
he could have been a pilot for Aeroflot. Yeah.
That's right. He and Foster would have been, and the whole roast. Like there was alcohol and ashtrays on that set every week.
Yeah. Tricky Dicky.
Yeah.
He was an alcoholic. I wonder why. And then we get to some other people you don't even realize that were pretty well into the sauce. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Churchill, we talked about.
Yeah, I think his blood was just alcohol.
Yeah.
Actually.
Ulysses S. Grant.
Oh.
He even made it on the money.
That's
Okay.
right.
And he won the Civil War being drunk. That's that. Hemingway, we talked about QE1, Queen Elizabeth I. She was a big teetotaler. No,
the opposite.
The opposite, yeah.
Well,
I think they try to make out to be. But even Queen now, she drinks all the time.
Well, that's why they live to be in their 90s. They're pickled.
Yeah. We got like Mark Twain. He was a big alcoholic. Van Gogh.
Yes.
In fact, they even had the absinthe. Absinthe in one of his paintings.
Oh,
A little bottle or something. I don't know. Yeah. W.C. Fields, of course, we know.
Of course.
He had that big. That was like the joke. You see somebody with the big.
Yes.
We used to call it big W.C. Fields nose. The guy's an alcoholic. How do you know that? Look at his nose.
That's right.
Got a W.C. Fields nose. It's
It's
like
a little flushing.
it's a little flush. You got all the veins popping out.
And then we've got Don Rickles.
Don Rickles.
Don Rickles.
Yeah, well, he was on Whole of Rose. He had to be drinking.
Well,
Yeah.
here's a couple of the British, Oliver Reed and Richard Burton.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to see them drinking together.
Oliver Reed was a world champion.
He actually died while making
Gladiator.
Really?
He did, but he was drunk most of the time.
Well, you also, speaking of drinking all the time, and then the thing was from Dallas. Bob
Hagman.
Larry Hagman.
He had to
because
give
he
up.
had a
Transplant.
liver
He had
transplant.
but you listen to all the stories about the people that work with him. It was like party at the end of every taping. They were in the pool drinking. He would supply everybody with champagne and whatever they wanted to drink. He was a happy drunk. I mean, he just let's all get drunk.
Well, and the era is different because, like, you had a bar at work. Like, the boss would have a bar.
I had one in Huntington Beach.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Paul, my boss, had one in there. And I remember we all had I think it was like my last
Had a
day.
bar fridge and everything in there.
Yes.
And a little tap and.
Well, I think Mom, when we went to dinner for my 21st birthday and I ordered a Bombay Sapphire, gin and tonic. She's like, how do you even know? I was like, well, I worked at a car dealership since I was 16.
Yeah.
I have an idea. And also, like, Frank. We got Frank and Dino sitting there
Yeah.
with their drinks. And
I think I'll go to the coach. Remember that? He'd be on the piano, sitting on the piano.
yeah.
And then the next segment, he was over on the couch. Over the couch.
But it was
Okay,
far more accepted.
Let's
way
move
back
on.
then.
So now we're going into the 80s.
So my glory time.
Yeah, so this is your throwback party.
Yes. Oh my God. And I remember ordering some of these things. Now, a Long Island iced tea,
Oh, that was the...
everything clear with a little bit of
Yeah. It's amazing. It tastes like iced tea. Yeah, drink some. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
You can also start a car if you needed to out in front.
Mm.
Now, I remember ordering this, and I remember feeling a fuzzy navel.
Yeah.
And it was peach schnapps with orange juice. So we were getting our vitamin C.
Yeah.
And,
Healthy.
that's all right. Now, I have never had this, but
Right.
it was very popular at Alabama Slammer.
I never had one either.
So that has Southern in it. That's probably why I didn't have
Yeah.
it. But I might just have a look at. I think it's time for an 80s cocktail party.
That sounds good to
Could
me.
do Tequila Sunrise, which
Bring
we
out
talked
my...
about.
I got to see if I got any more bells. Bell bottoms. And,
No,
and the
well-
nylon... Well, at the end of that was at the beginning of the 70s.
Yes.
And with we had we used to call them baseball shirts.
With the
So it had like a big open collar, puffy sleeves, and then it was gathered like with elastic down at the bottom of the sleeves,
right.
and the waist of the shirt was elastic too. So it looked sort of like a baseball shirt.
Is that like? It sounds like Jerry Seinfeld's puffy shirt.
Yeah, it's sort of not as bad.
Now that was in the day. That was probably before my time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember that. I do remember. Brendan had it was a weaver's shirt, which is like a long sleeve T-shirt.
Yeah.
That was everything was oversized.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And polo shirts were coming in there with a popped collar, or you can wear two with a pop.
All right, but that's if you're more collegiate.
Collegiate. Well,
What was the other? Preppy.
preppy.
That's what I was
Yes.
thinking, yeah.
Well,
Yuppie.
See, none of the kids I would wear like.
well, see, because I come from a cow town, so we had.
Oh, but then they wear the Western shirts.
Well, it was Western shirts or polo shirts or
Yeah.
T-shirts, and that was the end of it. Now we'll go on to which we talked about, the Tequila Sunrise. With Ainsley wanted to make a Shirley Temple last night. She goes, "Do we have any grenadine?" I said, "Your dad and I were having tequila sunrises." Yes, we do. Up the back. Sex on the beach.
And that's with a Jello shot in it.
No, well, you can have it as a Jello
Oh.
shot.
Because I had first and last, probably the last time I had Jello shots. I was in Colorado.
Yeah.
We went to a conference with contingency planners, and it was in the summertime, so it was up in one of the snow areas.
Yeah.
It wasn't Aspen; it was on the other side of the mountain.
Right.
And that was the first time I had Jello shots at the bar. But everything you drank at that atmosphere, just like really worked well.
You just shove it. Yeah, it hit you faster.
Yeah.
Now we also had some of it, like the mudslides. That is basically chocolate milk.
Oh.
It is. It was fantastic. It was essentially a White Russian.
Yeah.
And it would have a bit of Irish cream as well in it. A slow gin fizz. I love a gin fizz. But see, that is a breakfast drink to me.
Yeah, I say shoulder pads not included.
And a slippery nipple.
Ooh,
Well, they used to have
this is a family show.
I know. Well, this was the era of the suggested drinks names.
Well, you had the brain one. Remember that?
Brain
poured
hemorrhage?
you pour it into and it like curdled up and
Yeah, so you flooded it. So you had what
some
was
type
it?
of cream thing in there.
Well, you put Irish cream was the brain.
Okay.
I'm trying to think the drink might have been schnapps or
Well, it's something with that's citrus.
yes,
Yeah.
and then you floated a little grenadine on top, so it looked like a bloody brain. And we used to have kamikazes.
Yeah.
Now that was a
Depth charges.
citrus.
You ever had depth charges?
yes. Yes. So now bartenders have claimed that this decade, which was filled with neon cocktails made with a lot of premixes, that was the era of the premixes starting, nearly killed cocktails forever.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
And a sea breeze. There's no sea breeze here. That was
Oh
huge.
yeah, that was huge. Too,
That
right?
was like
and the
fuzzy one.
Cosmo.
And well, that
That's
kinda,
90.
that scooched into the 90s.
Yeah.
But the Cosmo is basically like a sea breeze combination of something else.
So now let's move on to the summertime.
Summertime. So if
And
you
it's barbecue time.
that's right. So if you we want to encourage eat when you drink. This
Drink
is
in
not
moderation.
Just, that's right. Because those days of no moderation are over now.
Unless you're a Liberal minister.
Well,
They all drink.
don't drink and drive, and have some food. But so summer, it's the time for barbecues and get-togethers. So here's some summer cocktail ideas. So a shandy. I love a shandy.
Lemonade shandy.
That's beer and lemonade.
Why not?
And it's
Beer and whiskeys will kick you on your ass. So.
a gin and tonic.
Which is and it's a perfect summer drink.
It is, and just a nice slice of lime or lemon.
Yeah. Lime, please.
And here's your speciality.
The margarita.
So how would you make a margarita?
So it's just basically ice,
Yep.
of course, into a shaker.
Yep.
Tequila, lime juice,
Mm-hmm.
and triple sec.
Yeah.
And then shake it up, and then you pour it into a rim glass.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. That's a margarita cocktail.
That is, I prefer that than the frozen. And mojitos.
Yes, that's just made it recently. That's a current new one, but I think it's already been in and out.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So it's muddled with mint and rum instead of tequila. And the tequila sunrise, because that's a fun thing to have.
But it's also a heavy drink, too.
Yeah.
But I guess you could put some soda water in it or ginger ale to make it a little bit lighter.
Yeah, and I think anything that has a highball again, you can just do lots of soda water on top.
Mm-hmm.
Now this one was this sounded really interesting, a watermelon champagne cooler, so which I want to try out. Maybe Christmas will do this one. So you strain 2 cups of watermelon juice, chill that, make sure it's cold. Add a 1/4 cup of vodka, an 1/8 cup of triple sec, and 1.5 ounces of lime juice. Pour into champagne flutes, leaving room in the top, and top off with champagne.
Ooh, very nice.
Doesn't that sound
very
refreshing?
Very refreshing, and a few of those.
That sneak up on you.
Yeah.
I'll just make
Put
sure.
your clothes back on.
I'll make sure everything is ready to be served. And then where's Barbara? She's sitting in the corner.
Then you got a white margarita. So that's made
That's sangria.
Sangria, sorry.
Yes.
White sangria. So that's made, I guess, with a sweet white wine, like a Moscato.
Well, you can do that, or you can even use club soda, and you can do a virgin version of this as of a juice one. Yeah. But this one has brandy, orange liqueur, 2 tablespoons of sugar. Mix that up, and then whatever wine you have. So Sauvignon Blanc or rosé, even 1/2 cup of orange juice and 1/2 cup of club soda, slices of orange and lemon, and chill and serve over ice.
Yeah. One thing that you just reminded me with the rosé.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so growing up, the only rosé we knew was Matus.
Yes.
But the French have a love affair with a rosé, and they serve it icy cold.
And it's beautiful.
Yes.
And
it's a bad rap rosé, but for like a summertime drink when you don't want a red, but you don't want a white, this is perfect. And it's cold.
That's right. And you don't have to you can have a dry rosé. You don't have to have a sweet rosé either. And
most of the ones out of France are, I wouldn't say very dry, but they're dry. They're not sweet. They're sort of like the Rieslings of now.
Yeah.
Which Riesling used to be sweet, the German ones, but now they're really dry.
Yes. I tried one recently because I thought, ooh, that's a very 80s thing. It's supposed to be in again. And I was like, what have I been missing out for the last...
What, a Blue Nun?
No. Luckily, I didn't see that label anywhere.
Yeah. No, it's still around.
No, so anything that's refreshing you can put ice into. My dad always had, in the summer, he'd have ice in his white wine. And there was no problem.
I remember going to France and having red wine, and it was chilled.
Yeah.
And my father and my aunts and all that, they always had red wine, and when they opened up the big jug and put it in smaller bottles, it went in the fridge.
Yes.
So they always had it cold.
And in the summer, that is lovely. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this section up, and we'll come back with our Ripper Recipe Roundup.
I got out of it again.
Okay, we're back, Barbara.
Yes, so if you need to find us, we are at 73 Cochrane's Road, Moorabbin.
And if you forgot, the code for the month is stuffing.
That is right. STUFFING.
Mhm.
So you are welcome to subscribe, share, and engage with the podcast at podcast@usafoods.com.au.
Okay, we got an email.
We did. We heard from Neil again, who we are lucky enough listens to us on YouTube. So there's another way to look for us and find us. And he loved our Halloween. He said, "Thank you for the Halloween podcast. He loves seeing the decorations in Bentley. They were well decorated and thoughtfully done, and he is happy that we have our extended summer hours, so he can be able to come in on a Friday evening after work."
There you go.
There you are.
Once he comes in sober.
We do have a few places to drink around us.
Yes. Okay. And so personal product profile.
Mm,
So this is mine this week.
yes.
So I'm going to talk about Tony Chachereau or
Yes.
Chachereau.
Well, we always say Chachereau.
Yeah,
right?
Chachereau.
And then I saw an ad in the an American ad, and they call it Caceres.
Yep, Chachereau. Yep.
So Tony's.
Tony's. That's an easy way. Okay. So I think I talked about it a few times, but his Cajun seasoning is probably the best one on the market, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I find, the other ones are good, like, the Zatarans and Slappy Mama.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But they all have a little bit different profiles, so a little bit different. And on his, I really prefer the more seasoning. So he has
Right.
two. He has like the regular, the more seasoning, and the bold.
Yep.
So that's in the between. So it has a little bit of heat, but not too much. And I use it on numerous products. I haven't used it on my pizza yet.
But
Yet.
you can,
Yet. Okay.
Yep.
But I've used the Everything Bagely season on the pizza, which
And
we had today.
that is fantastic. We tasted that today, and it
Yes,
was
made
great.
a breakfast pizza. And so some easy things to do. If you're having an avocado has been plentiful this year, okay, is just smash it up and put on some Tony's,
Yep.
okay, and maybe a little bit of lime juice. You're done.
Oh, yeah.
That's all you
Be
need.
good with the lime juice
Yeah.
in that as well.
Okay, you're doing shrimp, prawns, okay, coat it with the Tony Chachereau, pan fried in butter and olive oil. Don't need any more. And then you'd make, if you really want to get adventurous, you make your grits with buy some smoked Gouda and cook that in, grate that up. And then after your grits are cooked, blend it into it. So you have a cheesy grits, put it on a plate, then get those shrimps and stick them in it. Okay. So, the other thing is you could, if you have Bloody Mary, rim the
Ooh.
glass with it.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. There's so many different things you could do with it.
I've used it on chicken, and I've used it,
Yeah, fish, chicken.
Yep.
It goes with everything. And it's not like way out there type seasoning. It's very tasty. you
Yeah,
know.
that's right. And if something needs just a punch of flavor,
But even
use
the
that.
other thing is, speaking of Bloody Mary, if you're frying bacon, you could sprinkle a little bit of that on there.
ooh,
Especially if you're buying like bacon that's like, oh, this is really subpar bacon. Well, this is how you spike it up.
you're very handy. Those are very good ideas.
Okay. That's it. I'm done with that.
You're done with that? Now we're doing, okay, now I'm going to have to say it.
What?
A Ripper recipe roundup.
Oh, you did it.
Ah.
It's only the
I
second time.
can't wait for next year because we're renaming it. Okay, mine is we're doing some gingerbread cookies
Mhm.
because this is my Aunt Agnes's recipe. And she had the best gingerbread cookies in the world. They were always in a certain tin in a cupboard, like by the back door. And every time I go there, I'd straight there. Okay, so feel free. I often double the spices in it. So feel free to make it your own. But the base is a 1/3 cup butter, a 1/3 cup brown sugar, an egg, 1/2 cup molasses, 2 3/4 cups flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of ginger. But feel free to ramp that up. Just mix as usual. So mix the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients and throw them together. Chill the dough and roll out to 1/4 of an inch thick. And then make your shapes with it. Now, you can double or triple the recipe if you're going to do a gingerbread house, which I have done. But these will make some batches of nice cookies. If you want to put a little hole like with a straw in them, you can use them as decorations on your tree at Christmas time.
Oh, I was going to think make them into like a cup shape and put it over your cup like they do that Swedish cookie
Oh,
with a hole
yeah.
in it and then drink your hot chocolate out of there.
Well, you can do that
That'd be
too. We
nice.
might have to try that this year. Now, the trick to baking them, you just want a moderate oven, right? So depending on your oven, you want them underbaked rather than overbaked. Okay, so you want to, like, when you put your finger in the middle, like test one,
Right.
you still want
Still gooey.
Yeah, you want it to sit there. Take them out, and you can frost them with a simple. Once they're cool, I like to use a royal icing. If I'm putting them on the tree, it's a bit hard. You can use just some powdered sugar and butter. Mix that together, make a simple one like that, and it's just tastes like Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have to decorate some blue because Aunt Agnes had some blue ones, and I always makes me think of her.
Yeah,
my most favorite aunt. And that's it.
Okay, my go. Huh?
Yes.
Well, also one of these days from the Nat Nash era is National Vichyssoise Day.
Oh.
Vichyssoise.
That sounds very fancy for cold soup.
Yeah, it is. Well, basically, that's cold potato soup.
Yes, yum.
So, which I have made, and I, cheat. So, because this is going way back when Jeanette was pregnant.
Yes.
She just had this thing with potato soup, and I had to make potato soup every day.
Thank God you're a cook.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I started using instant potatoes.
Oh.
Mix it with, and cook them up, and then chill it. But then I add milk into it and blend it up.
Yeah.
And some, had the butter that was already melted into it. And then some added seasoning, some salt and pepper, or maybe a little bit of celery salt. And, get it to a consistency of a clam chowder.
Yum.
Yeah. And it's good. So the other things now, what I prefer is, you got to help me on this one.
Yes.
The Spanish version of
Gazpacho.
Gazpacho. Thank you.
Yes.
I couldn't think of. I know I wasn't thinking of the name, but I make gazpacho almost all the time.
Right.
By accident. Okay, because when I'm making my pizza sauce, it always reminds me of gazpacho.
Right.
Because I had gazpacho. When we used to go to food shows and all that, and of course you go down all these things where they're selling stuff from all over the world, and there was guys selling these things of gazpacho from Spain.
Right.
And so my pizza sauce has always reminded me of that, but it just needs to be doctored up a little bit. So it's passata, okay, and you want to thin it out a little bit. So you use some cold, just use a bouillon cube and do some chicken broth or vegetable broth, whatever you prefer, and then chill that, and then put it into your passata till you get the consistency you like, and then add your fresh goodies. So maybe I would use a dehydrated garlic, because then it'll just absorb the moisture from the soup. Okay, instead of having to cook the garlic yourself, because you don't want to put raw garlic in it. Be too. So a little bit of that, some oregano, some celery salt. Okay, right. I like the celery salt, or even the Tony Churchill. You could put that in there instead of the celery salt if you want a little bit more spicier.
Yep.
Okay, and then of course, chopped up your parsley, chop up your basil, your thyme. Throw as little as you like into it, and olive oil to top it off on top. Now, if you want to get a little bit different, avocado oil.
Oh, nice.
Okay, and they're beautiful.
Well, we're going to be talking about hors d'oeuvres and appetizers and stuff. That's a great one in shot glasses.
And a little shot glass. Oh, yeah. And then you put an oyster in it.
Ooh.
And of course, the vodka.
I like how you always just ramp it up.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last one I'll leave you with, because you have to look this up. And this is going back, way back.
Right.
Okay, when we lived in New York.
Yeah.
Okay. We used to go to Catskills, Jenna and I, to grow singers and stuff like that.
It just makes me think of don't put baby in a corner. No one puts baby in a corner.
So one of the things that they used to serve up there, because we used to go a lot in the summertime, was fruit soup.
Oh.
So it's a cold, chilled, yogurt-based soup with fruit in it, fresh fruit.
Fruit soup.
So just Google fruit soup, Catskills Mountains, which is the Jewish Alps. So it'll be there somewhere. Somebody would have a recipe for fruit soup.
Okay, we'll look that up.
This is the season for it. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, thank you. Now, next week's show is going to be
Thanksgiving
and hors d'oeuvres. Thanksgiving
No, we just got through. I
Starters.
did my hors d'oeuvres bit. So
No, you got more work to do, Phil.
Ah,
And we also, I want you to have a look when it might be in the show notes. It should be in the email. We're gonna put a little link to Foster Brooks and Dino's. I think the pilot would be.
Pal was good, and also the time when he comes in. Yeah, we can't give everything away. No. Okay.
And maybe a link to Potent Potables to an SNL sketch.
Yeah.
But we have to. No, we're not doing that one. We have to make sure Sean Connery wasn't too naughty. Maybe we can have a Norm Macdonald. Turd. Yes, maybe we'll do that. So please have a look out for that. And to sign off, there's a few quotes
From Dean Martin.
Yes, so we can get.
You
You start, Phil.
Okay. You're not drunk if you can lie on the floor without holding on. Or I used to say you didn't have enough to drink yet when you had too much to drink when you try to. I start all over. You had too much. You had too much to drink when you try to brush something off your shoulder and it's the floor. And I don't drink anymore. I freeze it and eat like a popsicle. And then his last one is, if you drink, don't drive, don't even putt. I don't drink and drive because you spill too much. Okay, there we go.
All right.
Till next week.
Yes, see
Bye.
you then.